So, I was playing through Slime Rancher 2 not too long ago, just mind my own business, feeding slimes, finding secrets, committing mass genocide, you know, the normal stuff. And while I was playing through the game, I had a thought. I make a lot of complex movements and high jumps in the game, which basically requires that you wear a jetpack to traverse. I mean, it serves so many purposes from basic platforming to avoiding hazards, so not having a jetpack, would the game even be beatable? Well, today, we're gonna find out. In this video, I set out with a goal of beating Slime Rancher 2 without ever using a jetpack. Here's how this is gonna work. There are a few requirements and basic goal progression I need to follow in order to beat the game and roll the credits. Number 1, we need to reach the Grey Labyrinth. This can be done by going through the Starlight Strand portal or the Ember Valley portal. This part is actually pretty easy and early in the game and shouldn't be too difficult. Requirement number 2, we're going to need one of these things. It's called a nullifier, and we're going to need it for requirement number 3. In order to get this, we need to get most of the way through the Grey Labyrinth, open a door which requires plorts from 3 different slimes, follow the passageway till you get to the Prisma Core, then deposit 20 Prisma plorts into Gigi's collector to unlock the nullifier. And believe me, this one is by far the most difficult thing to achieve in this game. I'll explain why later. As for requirement number 3, we will take that nullifier to open up doors to all 5 of the secret harmonizers hidden all around the Grey Labyrinth. These harmonizers will allow us to summon the final boss in the Prisma Core. You can find one harmonizer for each section of the Grey Labyrinth. And finally, for requirement number 4, once all harmonizers are active, we bid farewell to our wrench and we make our way down to the Prisma Core to beat the final boss of the game. And now, with all that said and done, let's jump right into it. And by right into it, I mean right into the sponsor segment. I would like to give a big thank you to our sponsor, Myself, for helping out this channel. Well, I have like 50 subscribers, don't think I have an actual sponsor. Now here's the thing, I think we can all agree on big numbers are pretty cool. And I know that you like big numbers, I like big numbers, it's something that we have in common. And you can help out by pressing that subscribe button to make this number just a little bit cooler. But you're here to watch a video as well, so I won't waste your time any longer, so let's get right into it. So starting out, our first goal is to get off the Rainbow Fields Island and go to either the Starlight Strand portal or the Ember Valley portal. Both of the locations have an access portal to the Grey Labyrinth, so it doesn't matter which one. We decided to go to the Starlight Strand portal, not really for any particular reason. But to open the Starlight Strand portal, we need to click on a switch that is currently being blocked off by a Cotton Gordo slime. Now, ordinarily, we would just need to get a bunch of food to feed him to make him pop and open the path. Or we could just... I did it! Take that! I don't have to do any fancy tricks. I can just shove slimes in the corners and I just call it a day. That problem is now solved. Only issue is we can't exactly get back, so we just decide to die. Dying, or as the game calls it, emergency return, is a mechanic that the game uses to reset you, take away your items, and progress time. Usually this causes parts of your ranch to be messed up because it's time on the ranch that you can't take care of your slimes, but for me this works out just fine because I have no slimes and very rarely throughout the challenge I will actually have any items on me. So it's basically a free return home teleporter at all times, which is pretty boggers. But after we do emergency return 360 no scope, we make our way to the Starlight Strand. And while we're searching for the entrance to the Grey Labyrinth, I noticed that this place isn't very well horizontal. What I mean is this place has paths that are literally meant to be crossed with a jetpack, so we're kinda in a pickle. Luckily, I noticed a ledge on the western side of the island that we can make our way up. That is if we do some parkour off some slimes. And here we have a path that basically gives us access to the rest of the island, and also a path to the Grey Labyrinth. The path to get to the Grey Labyrinth is on top of this big plateau, which is accessible with a few other slime jumps. But it is also blocked off with big ol' Flutter Gordo, which for those who don't know need a special kind of food called nectar. So that's fine, we just need to collect some nectar and all the nectar in this game is in high up places that are hard to reach. Darn. So I come to an executive decision that this place sucks and Ember Valley is probably a better option. Making our way out of the Starlight Strand and back to the Rainbow Fields, we begin our search for the button that activates the Ember Valley portal, and it doesn't take long before we find it. Now all we need to do is find a way to activate it. After looking around for some possible place we can do some slide jumps to reach it, I noticed that Big Pink Gordo is sitting on top of a geyser right next to it, and figure, yeah, that's probably the right way to do it, yeah. So we get some food to make him explode, press the button, and off to Ember Valley we go. Now immediately I noticed that Ember Valley is a lot easier to traverse than the Starlight Strand. Most paths are straightforward or have geysers that give you easy access to them. But we soon find that that's not true for all of the island, since on my way to the Grey Labyrinth, there's a big cliff in the way. Luckily, like all my other problems in this game, it has no issue that can't be solved with some good old-fashioned slime parkour. If you're underwhelmed by this challenge not being hard enough so far, just wait because it gets a million times difficult later on. And on top of this cliff, we find the entrance to the Grey Labyrinth, which happens to be blocked off by a boom slime. But unlike the flutter slime, this guy only wants chickens, which we have a lot easier time collecting. We start a chicken collection by committing seppuku and returning home. This is where we collect a bunch of chickens in Rainbow Valley and attempt to breed them by putting them all into a pile and sleeping for a few days in hopes that they decide they want to make more chickens. But of course, I've never tried this before, so obviously it didn't work super well, but we did get some extra meat. This is where I decided I would just collect the chickens the old-fashioned way by running around the island and looking for them. This worked pretty well, but I underestimated how fat my opponent was. Luckily, he was finished off by a second round of chickens, and now we have access to the Grey Labyrinth. Almost. See, there is this door in the way of the Grey Labyrinth that can only be opened by getting this light to shine on this object. So how do we do that? With mirrors, of course. How do we get the mirrors? Or as the game calls it, radiant projectors? Well, first we need to get someone named Victor to give us the schematic for them. Then we can build them ourselves. So in order for this to fully work, we start out by going home and then going to bed and hoping he just gives us a call. Yep, that is right. A crucial element of this game is simply waiting for stuff to happen. You know, everyone's favorite game mechanic, waiting. But enough time finally passes and sure enough, Victor gives us the projectors. So we figure out what we need to make them, build a resource harvester, and figure out the resources we need to make them. So we have to go out and grab all those things and then finally craft them. So once that is done, we can actually have access to the Grey Labyrinth. Making our way down through Ember Valley and into the section with the locked door, we set down both projectors and make them line up just right, and then boom, we got an open door. Jumping into the portal beyond, we have achieved our first goal and gained access to the Grey Labyrinth. And here we have a cave version of Ember Valley. But in all honesty, it isn't really that important, so we run right through it and into the main section of the Grey Labyrinth. So now that is done, we can begin our requirement for number 2, receiving the schematic for the nullifier. And this alone is what I spent the next week trying to achieve. Here is why. The Grey Labyrinth in games terms is the hard part of the game, with lots of platforming and resource collection. Platforming notoriously sucks ass when your main source of movement over large gaps and tall ledges is no longer there. And boy oh boy, does this area have a lot of gaps. Now let's reel back so I can tell you a bit more about the Grey Labyrinth and the nullifier we're trying to get. So looking at this map of the Grey Labyrinth, we are currently here, right? And the nullifier is here, in the Prisma Core. The only way to get to the Prisma Core is to go through the tower here, which requires 3 different ports from slimes all around the Grey Labyrinth. And you might be thinking, based on this map, why not go around the path on the right? Well, that path doesn't technically exist until we go through this path. Got it? Good. Now, the 3 ports that we need are from these 3 slimes, the Shadow Slime, the Twin Slime, and the Slumber Slime. The Shadow and Twin Slimes we can find pretty easy since they're in areas we have already been in. The Slumber Slime, however, is in a place we like to call Hell. Oh, sorry, I mean Dreamland. And this is where most of the issues in this challenge tend to arise. To get there, we first need to get through this. Well, that's fine, I'll just hover over there and oh yeah, I don't have a jetpack. Shit, I cannot tell you how long it took me to find a path over there. And when I did find a path, it was the most annoying and unnecessary path for just making a few jumps that shouldn't be an issue. Let me give you the rundown of what I had to do. Firstly, I would run around the whole main section of the area, jump across some bricks near a closed door, hug the ledge of the wall to get over to the main Prisma Core door, jump onto the arch right before the door, and then do a slime hover to reach the ledge above the door. Then I would slowly walk around the ledge to get to the deep slope on the other side of the tower, do a very specific slime jump to get onto another ledge, jump from that ledge onto a bridge, taking me over to a dead end, go around the mound side of the dead end and do a slime hop to get over to the other end of the bridge behind the dead end. And now that I have some leverage, I can jump from the top bridge onto a tree on the side of the mountain. Then I can perform a really difficult trick, a slime hover, to reach the other side of the cliffs. And obviously, this sucked absolute balls to do. So at some point, I got the bright idea to bring the teleporter up there, but it was absolutely necessary so I wouldn't go crazy after messing up one jump and having to run all the way back for 5 minutes at every attempt. I also opened the side door from the top bridge, which gives us much easier access to the bridges and the doors below. And if you thought the challenges were over from here, you would be very wrong because right after this, we have another set of stupidly difficult jumps to make. Luckily though, the process to set up these jumps doesn't take nearly as long. But I would like to say, to whatever developer made it so this geyser to get the Dreamland entrance only pushes you barely high enough, and if nowhere near enough horizontal movement to clear this jump, I hope you mistake your toilet bowl cleaner for your toothbrush and die. Because these two jumps are made me feel pain on a very emotional level. To get up there, you have to use the geyser to hop onto this tree on the side of the mountain. From there, you have to place the slime in a very specific location on the tree, and then pray the slime doesn't move from there. Then, you want to jump while vacuuming at the same time and then pull the slime up with you. And when you are up there at max jump height, jump off the slime again and onto this higher ledge. And that's the easy part. So for this jump, you want to fire a slime into the side of the mountain, trying to get it to sit next to you. From there, you want to do the same thing as you did last jump, where you jump onto the slime and vacuum at the same time. But instead of going straight up, you want to pull the vac forward to try and get the slime in front of you. Then you walk forward in mid-air to catch on top of the slime so you can ride it over and jump off of it again in mid-air to finally get over the ledge. This maneuver is called a slime hover, and you can thank the speedrunner The Pig King on YouTube for showing me how to do it, because this challenge would not be possible without it, as you are about to see in the upcoming room. Now, as I've been alluding to, this room is the beginning of Dreamland, and jumps here are insanely difficult to perform. And for the more difficult ones, if I ever mess up slightly, it means that I will have to restart the whole freaking room, including the previous jumps, all over again. This is about the time where I had an ingenious idea. What if I got another teleporter so that whenever I made progress, I could place that teleporter in the new location, reset so I could pick up the old teleporter, teleport to the new location, and repeat the process. Sort of like chain the teleporters back to back. So that's why I head back to the ranch to do. Doing some research along the way, I find the green teleporter would be the easiest one to make, since we recently unlocked the dream bubbles from Dreamland, and all the other resources can be found in the previous parts of the Grey Labyrinth. So we head back to the main section of the Grey Labyrinth, riding some twin ports and picking up resources along the way. Eventually, we gain enough to make the new teleporter. Now all that's left to do is place it down the areas we need to go, and then perform some of the hardest jumps in the game. So it should be fun. Now this is another segment with a lot of parkour back-to-backs, so I'll try to make it as simple as possible. First of all, let's talk end location. It's right up here. How do we get up there? Well, we need to get over the tower in the center of the section. How do we get to the tower? Well, we need a slime hover from a nearby arch. How do we get to the arch? Well, we got a slime jump from some rocks on the entrance to the left of the tower. To put this plan into action, we start by shooting a slime at some rocks and using that to hop over to the main archway. This arch is what gives us enough height we need to slime hover over the nearby tower. From the tower, we simply walk up and jump over the gap and take the geyser to the— oh shit. We take the geyser to the side ledge of the tower with a tree on it, and we jump on slimes till we get to that ledge. We then walk up some stairs, jump over another gap, set a teleporter down, and prepare for some of the hardest, most painful jumps in existence. Now I'll be honest, the first jump isn't all too bad and is definitely not much of an issue. The second jump, on the other hand, is the single most difficult part of this challenge. One massive leap to the other side where the Slumber Slime resides, and all we gotta do is bridge this gap. I fell off to try and get my old teleporter for when I do make this jump, and noticed a tangle event going on in Rainbow Valley. It's not really important to the video whatsoever, but I thought it was nice. Anyway, back to hell. You can imagine how many hours I spent attempting this jump over and over and— oh, okay, we got it in the 5th try. Cool. So it turns out when you practice maneuver for hours on end, not even until you get it right, you get pretty good at it after a while. You can even hear in the video how surprised I am by how fast I managed to get that jump down. Ain't no f***ing way I just did that. Oh my god. I am f***ing goated at this game. Holy shit. But I guess that's that, and we can't revel in our glory forever. So we place down a teleporter and presume on our way to the Slumber section of Dreamland. And while here, we immediately emergency return to get our other teleporter, set that one down in the next progression spot, and collect a good amount of Slumber Slimes along with their plorts. Now, I would take these plorts back the way I came to open the Prisma Core door, but that is quite literally impossible with my current situation, so I have to take the long way around through Ember Valley. It's not much of a big deal, but it's 10 minutes of my life that I won't get back. Getting to the door area, I find the Slumber Slime statue and fire the plorts beautifully into its mouth. I then go and find the Twin Slime statue that I forgot to do earlier, and bam, we got a one-way path to the Prisma Core, which we have to walk all the way back because I accidentally fall off the ledge after inserting the Twin Slime. Fuck my life. But when we do finally return, we walk through the door, climb up some stairs, and through the geyser, which activates the switch that opens the walking section side to the tower. We then walk along the path to the Prisma Core right after I collect some Prisma Plorts. You might have forgotten, but we still need a handful of these things to actually unlock the Nullifier. It's the whole reason we are here. So after I make a quick detour, throw in some likely radioactive food at slimes, I come back with a full stack of prism ports and make my way to the Prisma Core. From here, getting the nullifier is quite simple. We talk to Gigi for a bit, she opens the trading station, we throw the ports in, and now we got the nullifier schematic. Now that we have the schematic, last thing we need to do before we can start unlocking the harmonizers is to build the thing. So let's see what we need for this. Yada yada, 1,000 coins shouldn't be an issue. A few ports from Slumber Shadow and Twin Slimes, and oh yeah, you. I forgot about you. That's fine, we need to just find the area where these slimes are, so the path here looks like... shit. Well, this is the point in our journey where it all comes to a screeching halt because some idiot didn't path out a certain section of a labyrinth that we need to have access to get these plorts. So, I guess here we are. The end of the line, simply because the entrance to the terrarium is way too difficult to level without a jetpack. It's a real shame because I was really hoping we could complete this. If only there was another way. Well, maybe there is. There is one more path I could take to get to the terrarium. Well, actually, it's a teleporter, located in Dreamland being blocked off by a Slumber Gordo. So why not just pop the Gordo and make our way in there? Well, the only issue is that is when we go through the teleporter, we are being blocked off by a wall that can only be opened with the nullifier. Now obviously, since we don't have that, we can't get through that wall, which means this teleporter entrance is useless, right? Well, I thought so at first, but then I looked around the room and noticed something interesting. A resource node sitting near the closed door. And this is where my prior game knowledge from 100% in the game strikes into play. You see, these resource nodes work in pretty simple and interesting ways. Every time you open one, they have a chance to drop between 20 and 50 gold. Not really important. The real important part is that they also drop 3 random items from the area they were opened in. So that could drop anything from fruit to veggies, meats, or slimes in our case. I'll piece it together for those who didn't quite get it. This node means nothing if it was anywhere else, but since it is technically in the terrarium, even though it's a small teleporter room, we can get fruit, veggies, meat, or slimes from this area, including the slime we're searching for, the Hyper Slime. I'm not quite sure what the odds are of finding one of these slimes in this area, but it must have been pretty damn slim because I was doing this for a solid 2 hours. I would sleep to make time progress, take the teleporter to where the big teleporter was, take that teleporter, and then search for any resource nodes to break open. And then I would head back to do it again. This was an excruciating process, but one that was all but worth it when it finally happened. It happened. I popped open one of these. You can tell we just got it because it immediately happened. I immediately opened OBS because I expected this to take like an hour or 2 if it even was possible. But no, we popped into open a node and bam, Hyper Slime. And now that we have the Hyper Slime, we rush back to the observatory to make a corral for this guy so we can farm his plorts. I even made a farm with some of his favorite foods right next to him and got him a toy. Honestly, I treated this one slime like a king. Probably because he was my only actual slime, other than the boom slimes I kept for resources, but they never really had a corral or food, which is probably why they don't like me all too much. But with the Hyper Slime in his corral, I rest for a few days to make him eat faster, then take his plorts to finally build the nullifier. And now, we get to do the actual fun part of the game. Well, not really fun, but at least it's not grinding resources in a small room for hours. This is the point where we start unlocking the harmonizers, of which there are 5 in the Grey Labyrinth, all located in different sections. The first one we will be collecting is this. We're heading to this one first because we already have a teleporter in the same room. The only thing we really have to do is backtrack from the teleporter a bit and find the unstable wall. Once we do that, we set down the nullifier, ring the bell with whatever we have on us, and move to the next one over the terrarium. This one is on the far end of the terrarium, which we now have access to since we can take down the teleporter wall with the nullifier. It also requires just a few other ports and platforming to unlock. None of it is very complicated, just a few simple slime ports from slimes we've already seen, and some simple platforming. We do need to go out and get some slime ports on the ranch, but that is most of all we need. After we have all those, we head for the far edge of the terrarium, past the glass exhibits and ice area where there is an unstable wall. We set up the nullifier in the near door to get it open and do the same thing we did in Dreamland where we just hit it with anything. From here we have 3 more harmonizers we need to hit. 2 are in pretty easy to get to spots, but the last one isn't quite as easy. You see, for that one, we need to have access to a portal in the Grey Labyrinth from the Starlight Stream, which if you remember from earlier, we gave up on because it would have taken too long. But now, seeing as I'm almost out of options, I decided to pay a visit to see if we can finally take down that Flutter Slime. The main issue we had last time is that we didn't have much height to get to the nectar to feed the Flutter Slime. But luckily, and with a lot of good slime placement, we can reach most of the areas with nectar relatively easy to be able to have just enough to pop the Flutter Gordo. All that's needed from here is to drop down and open the door, blocking it with some mirrors, and get inside to the waterworks of the Grey Labyrinth. It is a beautiful place we can enjoy for about 5 seconds since the Harmonizer is right by the entrance. We literally walk through the portal, jump across one main area, walk forward, take like 2 turns, and we're at the unstable door. Yeah, they really wanted to make it easy for this one. But anyway, we activate the Harmonizer and emergency reset so we can return back to the observatory. Now all that's left is to activate the 2 Harmonizers in the lava mines and the main section of the Grey Labyrinth. And honestly, I saved the easiest ones for last, since I don't really have to do anything complicated to get to either of these places. I kinda just walked up and jumped a bit to get to the one in the lava mines, and the one in the main section of Labyrinth wasn't exactly an issue, seeing as it's right below the main tower to get into the Prismacore. We activate the tower one last since it's closest to the Prismacore, and with that, we have all the Harmonizers active and can finally take down the final boss. It's been a long time coming, but I truly believe I can take them down. So with one last march at the Prismacore, we talk to Gigi and let the battle begin. After we make a water tank. Yeah, so apparently if you don't have a water tank by this point in the game, it will literally refuse you trying to fight the final boss. So if one walks shame back, paying a visit to our slimes, or well, slime, we get the water tank and now push forward into the Prismacore for the final boss. After talking with Gigi and saying let's do this, we begin to fight. Now I know this was just a no jetpack run, but I also made it so I didn't give myself any additional upgrades either to add a bit of challenge to it. And I was sure that it was going to make a big difference in this final boss fight to make it more difficult, but honestly I was surprised. I completely forgot how much of pushover this boss is. And not having jetpack really didn't change much since the game gives us platforms to jump across so we can get over the other sections. And even with all the tar on the floor which you would want to hover over, you can just damage boost to get all over that. Overall this fight was just kind of lacking, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. I just put myself through hell trying to get here, so I'm not gonna argue with some easy challenge now. So I throw some slimes to these machines to rain down water onto the big tar and take him down for good. And I will gladly take this win and consider this challenge complete. So after stabilizing the Prismacore and speaking with Gigi for last time, the credits roll and I am finally free. And I'll be totally honest, going into this challenge, I wasn't sure if it was even possible. There were points where I was considering giving up just because I didn't know if what I was trying was actually achievable. But hey, if you want to see more like this, please consider subscribing. It's completely free and really helps out the channel. I mean, you made it all the way to the end of this 23-minute video, so you might as well. And of course, thank you all for watching. Laters.